I never thought my own blood could carve out my heart with a smile. But there she was, my sister Emma, glowing like some goddamn saint in white lace. Her hand on her barely there bump as she announced it to the room full of our family's fake smiles. "Riley's turning 30 today," she said, voice dripping honey over shattered glass. "And we're giving her the best gift ever. I'm pregnant. With Jake's baby." The words landed like a sucker punch from the grave. Because in that split second, I saw it all. The late nights he called work, the whispers I'd chalked up to paranoia, the way she'd always eyed him like he was her missing piece. But the real gut twist? I'd taken the fall for his sins years ago, buried his darkest secret so deep it poisoned my soul, and now they were toasting to my ruins. The room erupted in awkward claps and gasps. Mom's pearls clinking as she rushed forward with hugs. Dad's bourbon breath muttering, "Family sticks together," like that ever meant shit in our polished hellhole of a life in upscale Connecticut. Jake, my husband of 5 years. The golden boy with the Wall Street jawline and eyes like polished obsidian, didn't even look at me. He just pulled Emma closer, his fingers tracing her hip like it was his to claim. And I stood there, 30 candles flickering out on my cake like the last breaths of the woman I used to be. Fuck them. In that moment, with the jazz playlist crooning some ironic love song in the background, I decided I'd drag their pretty lies into the light, even if it meant burning us all down. It started 8 years ago, back when Emma and I were still the unbreakable duo, sisters against the world. Or so I told myself in the haze of our privileged upbringing. We grew up in this sprawling colonial in Greenwich, the kind of place where lawns are manicured like scalps and secrets are groomed just as carefully. Dad was a hedge fund kingpin, Mom a socialite who collected charities like handbags, and we were their prized fillies. Emma, the wild one with her sorority queen laugh and legs that turned heads. And me, Riley, the steady one, the fixer, the girl who aced Yale Law on scholarships while she partied through state college on Daddy's dime. We were close, or at least that's the lie we sold. But Jake? He crashed into my life like a freight train at a rooftop bar in Manhattan. All charm and cologne, whispering dreams of escaping the grind for a beach house in the Hamptons. I fell hard. Married him quick in a city hall ceremony, because why wait when it feels like fate? Emma was my maid of honor. Of course. She toasted us with tears in her eyes, saying we'd make the perfect power couple. But 6 months in, the cracks showed. Jake's business trips to Atlantic City stretched longer, his phone buzzing at 3 a.m. With deletes I pretended not to notice. Then came the night that redefined everything, the night I became a scapegoat without even knowing it. We were driving back from a casino fundraiser, rain slicking the I-95 like oil on water. Jake had been pounding whiskeys, laughing too loud about some deal he'd closed, when he swerved to dodge a deer. Or that's what he claimed later. The truth? He'd glanced at her text. "I know now," and plowed into the guardrail. The car flipped twice, a mangled heap of luxury SUV and shattered glass. I woke up in the ER with a concussion and a fractured wrist. But the passenger, a young intern from his firm, some kid named Tyler who'd hitched a ride home, didn't wake up at all. Dead on impact. 24 years old. Dreams of climbing the ladder snuffed out because my husband couldn't keep his eyes on the road or his dick in his pants. The cops came, breathalyzer screaming 0.12, and Jake, he panicked. Slipped me a pill in the hospital. Said it was for the pain, but it muddled my head just enough. By morning, he'd spun the tale. I was driving. I'd had the drinks. The intern was my colleague from a side gig. He greased palms, Dad's connections helped, and I, groggy and loyal, signed the plea deal. Manslaughter. 2 years probation. My law career derailed before it started. I became the family pariah overnight. Whispers at brunches about Riley's little accident, while Jake got a slap on the wrist and a promotion for handling the crisis. Emma? She visited me in that halfway house cell. Cooed sympathies. But her eyes lingered on him when he picked me up, like she was measuring a dress for theft. I swallowed it all for love. For the ring on my finger. For the lie that we were building something real. But as the years ground on, the resentment festered like mold in our McMansion's basement. Jake climbed higher at the firm, rubbing elbows with senators and CEOs, while I scraped by as a paralegal in a dingy firm downtown, my record a scarlet letter no one let me forget. Emma flitted through jobs, modeling gigs, then influencer nonsense, always landing on her feet, always crashing at her place when her latest boyfriend bailed. She'd lounge by our pool in bikinis that hugged too tight, batting lashes at Jake over backyard barbecues. And I'd laugh it off as sisterly flirtation. God, I was blind. Then, last summer, the first crack in their facade, I found the burner phone in his golf bag. Texts from me that weren't about takeout orders. Miss your hands on me, one read. Can't wait to make this real. My stomach twisted like a knife in butter. But I confronted him alone, voice shaking in our king-sized bed. He denied it. Of course, gaslit me with tears. Swore it was a prank from the office bros. I wanted to believe him, clawed at the scraps of our vows. But the seed was planted. I started tailing him, my sensible Prius blending into the Upper East Side traffic like a ghost. Late-night motels in Jersey. Her Audi parked beside his Tesla. Stolen kisses in Central Park shadows. Her laughter echoing like shards. But I didn't blow it up. Not yet. Because beneath the infidelity lurked something uglier, the secret I'd buried for him. That crash wasn't just a mistake. Tyler's family sued. But Jake's firm buried it with NDAs and payoffs. What I didn't know until I hacked his emails last month, Tyler wasn't just an intern. He was a whistleblower, sniffing Jake's insider trading scheme with Dad's fund, millions siphoned. Lives ruined in the '08 crash echoes. Jake killed him to silence the kid. Or at least that's the narrative he fed me in drunken confessions I'd recorded on my phone. You took the heat for me once. Babe, he'd slurred one night. We can do it again. But Emma? She knew. Texts from years back. Her urging him, handle the loose end. I'll cover for you. So there I was, on my 30th. The cake wax dripping onto the linen tablecloth like accusatory tears. As they posed for photos with Uncle Ted's iPhone. The party dragged, small talk about stock dips and Hamptons rentals, while I plotted in the powder room mirror. Mascara running like black rivers. Revenge wasn't a word, it was a vow. I'd waited too long to play the victim. By midnight, as guests trickled out into the crisp autumn night, I cornered Jake in the garage, keys jingling like chains. How long? I hissed, voice low under the hum of the Sub-Zero fridge. He smirked, that Wall Street wolf grin. Long enough to know you're done. Riley. Emma's the future. You? You're the past, the drunk who killed that kid. His words ignited the fuse. I didn't scream. I smiled, cold as the Hudson in winter. Oh, honey, I said, stepping close enough to smell her perfume on his collar. You have no idea what I've got on you. He laughed, but his eyes flickered fear. Finally. I left him there, engine roaring as I peeled out toward the city. My phone already dialing my contact at the DA's cold case unit. The secret wasn't just his anymore. It was a bomb. And my birthday gift to them would be the fallout. The weeks blurred into a fevered dream of caffeine and cat videos to keep the rage from swallowing me whole. Nights holed up in my cramped one-bedroom in Chelsea. Walls papered with printouts of their digital trail. I'd sublet it after the separation, calling it a trial run for divorce. But really, it was my war room. Laptop screens glowed with timelines. First kiss time-stamped to that weekend in the Poconos 3 years back, when I'd been visiting Mom after her hip surgery. Ultrasound pics he'd accidentally left open on his Mac, 8 weeks along. Due in June. A little arrow pointing to baby J. J for Jake. E for Emma. My Emma, who'd once braided my hair and sworn we'd conquer the world together. But conquest? Nah. This was conquest by committee. A tag team takedown orchestrated over Rose brunches and his Amex black card. I pieced it together like a deranged scrapbook. Her Venmo charges for lingerie from La Perla. His alibis syncing with her spin class dropouts. The real venom, though, the crash file I'd FOIA'd from the state archives. Yellowed pages detailing how Jake's bloodwork vanished thanks to a lab tech on Dad's payroll. Tyler's mom still lived in Bridgeport, a widow scraping by on waitressing tips. Her son's photo on a makeshift shrine by the door. I'd driven by once. Anonymous in a rental. Heart pounding as I imagined her face when the truth dropped. My first move was subtle, the kind of slow burn that itches under the skin. I leaked a whisper to the Post's gossip mill, anonymous tip about a finance hotshot knocking up his sister-in-law. It ran buried on page 6. A blurry pap shot of them lunching at Le Bernardin. Her hand on her belly, like a shield. Jake called me that night. Voice oily through the voicemail. Cute stunt. Riley. But you start a war. You better have ammo. I deleted it without replying. Already 3 steps ahead. Next, I reached out to Tyler's sister, Lena, a tough broad running a nonprofit for road safety victims. We met at a dive bar in Queens, her tattoos peeking from a leather jacket, eyes hard as flint. He was going to expose them, she said over IPAs, sliding me a thumb drive of his old emails. Insider tips on rig trades. Your husband's firm tanked my ma's retirement. I nodded, the weight of it settling like lead in my gut. I'd carried his crime for nothing. Now it'd bury him. Emma tried playing nice. Of course. Texts laced with emojis. Sis, we need to talk. For the baby's sake. I ghosted her. But not before mailing a gift to their love nest. That Tribeca loft he'd rented for work. Inside, a onesie embroidered with Daddy's little secret, stuffed with printouts of the crash report. My highlighted please signature glaring like a scar. She called from a block number. Voice cracking for the first time. Riley. Please. It wasn't planned. Jake and I. We fell. You're my sister. Fell? Like skydiving without a chute. I hung up, then blocked her. The click echoing like a chambered round. Power plays ramped up from there. Jake's firm caught wind. HR emails I intercepted via a phishing scam I'd learned from a true crime pod, suspending him pending personal review. Dad summoned me to the house. His study reeking of cigars and old money. Leather chairs creaking under his bulk. This tantrum ends now, he growled, face purple as a storm cloud. You're embarrassing us. Think of the family. Family. The words soured like milk. I leaned in, voice steady as a deposition. Family? Like how you buried evidence for him. Or how you let me rot for his kill. His eyes widened. First real crack in the patriarch armor. What the hell do you mean? I slid the thumb drive across the desk. Listen and weep.
Dad.
Or don't. Your call when the SEC knocks. He didn't call back. Instead, the invitations arrived. A reconciliation dinner at the club. Black tie. With a string quartet and sommelier on speed dial. It was their Hail Mary parade, the perfect trio. Spin the narrative to the old guard. I RSVP'd yes. Then spent the next fortnight sharpening my blade. Sleepless runs along the High Line at dawn. Pounding pavement until my lungs burned. Plotting the reveal like a screenwriter on coke. The twist? I wouldn't just expose the affair. I'd unearth the grave they dug together, the crash, the cover-up, the kids' blood on their hands. And Emma? She'd known from jump. Her text to Jake post-rec. We'll make it right. No more accidents. She'd been his accomplice. The siren luring him from the wheel. The night arrived crisp as a fresh bill. November chill nipping at my bare shoulders under a slinky black sheath, the one I'd worn to our wedding rehearsal. The club loomed like a cathedral of excess. Valets in crisp uniforms. Chandeliers dripping light over linen-draped tables. They were there at the head. Jake in a bespoke tux that strained against his gym rat build. Emma radiant in emerald silk that pooled like envy on the floor. Mom fussed over her plate. Dad nursed a scotch. Aunts and uncles murmuring pleasantries. I slid into my seat late. Smile plastered like war paint. Sorry.
Traffic, I lied.
Clinking my water glass, sober for the kill shot. Toasts flowed, to health, to new beginnings, to little ones on the way. Jake's arm around her shoulders. Possessive as a brand. When my turn came, the room hushed, forks pausing midair. I stood, wine untouched, voice carrying like smoke over water. To family, I began, eyes locking on theirs. The kind that betrays you in the dark, then dances in your daylight. Gasps rippled, Mom's hand to her throat, Dad's glass frozen. Riley, sit down, he hissed. But I was a freight train now, barreling. You see, folks, I continued, pulling my phone like a loaded Glock. My husband's not just a cheater. He's a killer. 8 years ago, he wrapped our car around a pole, drunk and distracted by her. Even then, projections flickered from my hidden app onto the white wall behind, crash photos. Blood-smeared dash cam stills I'd bribed from the tow yard. Tyler's face, young and earnest, beaming from his LinkedIn ghost. This kid? He died because Jake couldn't stop texting his side piece. And me? I took the rap. Signed away my life so he could play White Knight. Chaos erupted, chairs scraping. Cries of what the fuck from Cousin Mark. The family fuck-up who'd always rooted for me. Emma bolted up. Tears streaming. Lies. Riley's unhinged. The accident was hers. But I hit play on the recording. Jake's slurred confession booming. You took the heat for me once. We'll do it again. His face drained to ash. Hands trembling as he reached for her.
Ink.
Tell them. She shoved him away. Belly between them like a barrier. Don't you dare. You promised it'd stay buried. The room spun into a maelstrom, Mom hyperventilating into a napkin. Dad barking for security. Uncles dialing lawyers like lifelines. I watched it all. A queen on her pyre. The weight lifting even as the flames licked higher. But Jake lunged then, grabbing my wrist hard enough to bruise. You bitch, he snarled low. breath hot with desperation. You think this ends us? It ends you. That's when the real storm hit, not from the skies, but from the sirens wailing up the club's drive. My tip to the DA had landed. Feds in windbreakers swarmed, cuffs glinting under the portico lights. Jacob Harlan, you're under arrest for vehicular manslaughter, obstruction, and securities fraud. Tyler's sister, Lena, stepped from the shadows, her nonprofit badge flashing, flanked by suits from the SEC. For my brother, she said, voice steel. Jake thrashed as they zip-tied him, Emma collapsing into a chair, wailing as contractions hit. Early labor. Irony's cruelest joke. I turned to leave, heels clicking on marble like countdowns. But Dad caught my arm. Riley.
Why? His eyes,
For once, cracked open to the rot. Because someone had to, I whispered, pulling free. Outside, rain lashed the lot, blurring taillights into red streaks. Victory tasted like bile, sweet, but scorching. The fallout was a media circus on steroids. Tabloids feasting like vultures on our carcass. Wall Street wolf's wreck of a life, a fair, arrest, and a baby on the brink. I holed up in the Chelsea walk-up, blinds drawn against the paparazzi drones buzzing like hornets. My phone a brick of voicemails from reporters hungry for the betrayed wife's tell-all. But I didn't talk, not yet. Silence was my armor, letting the truth fester in headlines while I nursed bruises from Jake's grip and the deeper wounds that no ice pack could touch. Emma delivered 2 days later, a boy, 6 pounds even, named Tyler in a spiteful nod or genuine remorse. Who the hell knew? She texted from the hospital. A blurry newborn pic attached. He's beautiful. Forgive me? We're sisters.
delete, blocked.
Forgiveness? That ship sank with the crash. Wreckage washed up on my shores. Jake's arraignment made scene, disheveled in an orange jumpsuit that clashed with his spray tan. No bail thanks to flight risk flags. Dad's empire teetered. SEC raids on the fund. His name dragged through congressional hearings like a rag doll.
Mom?
She decamped to Boca, popping Xanax like Tic Tacs. Her social feed's gone dark.
Me?
I lawyered up with Lena's referral, a shark named Carla from Brooklyn. All curves and cutthroat contracts. We filed for divorce. Asset freeze. The works, his Tesla impounded. Our joint, accounts locked tighter than Fort Knox. But the nights? They clawed at me. Insomnia's talons digging deep. I'd pace the fire escape. City lights smearing into neon regrets. Replaying that club showdown like a bad loop. Her sobs. His snarl. The collective gasp as Tyler's ghost materialized on the wall. Had I gone too far? The courts would decide. Manslaughter retrial pending. Fraud charges stacking like Jenga. But in the quiet, doubt whispered, was I the villain now? Unearthing graves for sport? Then came the twist. The kind that upends your compass and leaves you spinning in moral quicksand. It started with a manila envelope. No return address. Slipped under my door like contraband. Inside, a USB drive. Grainy security footage from the casino that night 8 years back. I'd watched it once before. In the DA's office, me behind the wheel.
Or so it seemed.
But this? Enhanced. Time-stamped. Angled from the valet cam. Jake's hand on the gear shift. Yes, but then... a slight. He slid over. Keys jangling as he pressed them into my palm mid-swerve. Your turn, babe. His lips mouthed.
Clear as day.
The deer bolted. I yanked the wheel too late. But wait, the text? His phone lit up seconds before. E flashing. Coming up. Room 412.
Emma.
She'd been there. In the flesh. Luring him upstairs while I dozed in the lounge. Buzzed from one too many comped Cosmos. The intern Tyler? Not a side gig colleague. But her plus one, a blind date she'd dragged to crash the party. Chatting him up about finance to impress. Jake. Jealous streak flaring. Down shots. Then insisted on driving the kid home as favor. But the distraction? Her. Always her. The footage cut to the lobby. Emma slipping Jake a room key. Her giggle muffled. Tyler oblivious in the background. My stomach roiled, betrayal cubed, layered like an onion of deceit. I'd taken the wheel because he asked, because love's a blindfold you tie yourself. And the pill in the hospital? Not just painkillers, laced with something to fuzz my recall. His insurance policy. Dad knew his lab tech confession on tape. Voice quavering. Boss said make it stick to her. Family first. I confronted the mirror. Face gaunt under fluorescence. Asking the stranger staring back. Who am I now? The Avenger? The fool? Lena called that night. Voice urgent over burner lines. Feds flipped your old man. He's testifying against Jake. Full immunity. Says you were collateral.
Kiddo.
Wrong place. Blind trust. Collateral. Like a bad investment written off. I laughed. Bitter as black coffee. Then hung up. The drive to Bridgeport burned rubber and rubber, tires on wet asphalt. Resolve in my veins. Tyler's mom answered the door in a threadbare robe. Eyes wary until I held out the USB. This is for you, I said. Throat tight. The truth. All of it. She watched it alone in her kitchen. Me sipping weak tea on the sagging couch. Photos of her son lining the walls like silent jury. When she emerged, face etched with fresh grief. She didn't cry. Thank you, Riley, for giving him back. We hugged then, two widows of the same crime. Her whisper fierce. Don't let them break you too. Driving back. Manhattan skyline a jagged promise. I felt the shift, not absolution, but agency. The trial loomed. Jake's defense painting me as vengeful harpy. Emma as innocent ingenue carrying his miracle. But I had the footage. The texts. The recordings. An arsenal of authenticity. Crescendo hit at the courthouse steps. Spring thaw melting snow into slush underfoot. Reporters swarmed like locusts. Mics thrusting. Mrs. Harlan. Any regrets? I paused. Wind whipping my coat like wings. Jake in shackles behind bulletproof glass. Emma testifying inside, her voice cracking over speakers. I love him. It was a mistake.
Mistake.
The word ignited me. Carla nodded from the podium. Lena flanked me. A shield sister. Regrets. I echoed. Mike amplifying my calm. Only that I trusted monsters in sheep's clothing. Inside. The twist detonated. Prosecutor cued the valet cam. Courtroom hushed as Jake's handoff played, his lips forming my name like a curse. Gasps echoed off wood paneling. Emma bolted from the stand, retching into a trash bin. No, she wailed, clutching her pearls, moms. Inherited in the will she'd contested last week. Jake's lawyer objected. Fabricated, but the judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Overruled. Proceed. Dad took the stand next. Suit rumpled. Eyes downcast. I covered for my son-in-law, he admitted. Voice gravel. Paid off the lab. Pressured Riley to plead. Thought it protected the family. protected. From what? Truth's ugly mug. The jury foreman later confided. That broke them. Verdict: guilty on all counts. 20 to life. No parole whispers. Emma fled to her parents in Florida, our parents, baby in tow. Disowned by blood that finally saw red.
Me?
I walked free. Probation lifted on appeal. Law license reinstated like a phoenix from ash. But the ending? No tidy bow. I sold the McMansion. Donated half to Tyler's foundation. Kept the rest for a fresh start, maybe Seattle. Rain washing slate clean. Emma reached out once more. From a prepaid phone. I was scared. He manipulated us both.
Us.
As if her choices mirrored mine. I didn't reply. Some bridges you torch, not rebuild. In the end, revenge wasn't the fire I thought, it was the forge, hammering me sharper, scarred but standing. They say blood's thicker than water, but mine ran with ink now, writing my own damn story. And if it sparks debate, hero or hellion, good. That's the American way. Messy. Unapologetic. Alive in the fight.